Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Review of Death live commentary of the 1996 Doctor Who TV movie, which is a terrible title, but it's better than The Enemy Within. I'm here, Billy Garrett John, and I am joined by the 8th Doctor himself, Paul McGann, for this commentary. Paul, thank you so much for joining us. I know you're busy with recording stuff in lockdown for Big Finish, so how's everything going on your end?
Yeah, it's not been too bad. Thanks for having me here, Billy. It's been good. I haven't seen this film in years. You know, it's been years since I've seen it. So I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent.
I can't remember any of this going on here. Whose eyes are those? They're not mine, are they?
And amazingly, Paul McGann has transitioned into Matthew Toffolo.
Hello.
It's been years since he did his action figure adventures, so he can't sustain the voice anymore. But here we go. Matt, what are your kind of opening memories of seeing this, because you saw it go out as and when, didn't you?
Yeah, I was 4 years old. I didn't see it go out on the night, but it must have been around the time, because it was when the tape came out. The tape came out either like the day before or the day after, and my brother went up to the shops and he bought it, and I can remember it vividly. It's actually one of my very first Doctor Who memories, sitting down watching this, and I didn't like it at the time. I hated it because it just didn't feel like Doctor Who that I was used to. What about you? When did you first see this film?
I think I probably saw bits of it at the end of Doctor Who Night, because it was the last thing that went out.
Yes.
On Doctor Who Night in 1999. So there's that beautiful TARDIS. I must have seen it. I must have seen it at some point, but my first memory of actually properly sitting down and watching it was when I got it on VHS. Did I told you where I got it from? This will only mean anything to people in certain parts of Bristol. Did I tell you where I got it from?
No, where did you get this from?
Rajani.
Did you
Yeah.
really? Yeah.
There were loads of them in there. There was like 5 copies of this, brand new, sealed in Rajani.
Holy shit. Did it come with the postcards as well?
No, it didn't. No, I don't think so.
Oh.
I've got postcards, but I think I bought those at Forbidden Planet for some reason. There were postcards on sale there. Right. Only like 5-10 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
For anyone who's confused by the Rajani bit, it's like, explain Rajani to people, Matt, because it's far more interesting than what's going on in front of us at the moment.
It's like a bargain store, isn't it? I actually went to school with the girl who is the daughter of the guy who owns it and runs it.
That's fucking Bristolian royalty.
Yeah.
That's only next to, knowing Brian Steele from Bristol Carpet Factory.
It's like a budget store, isn't it? Budget.
If you need to go in there to get bowls for an Indian restaurant you run, then it's perfect.
That's where you want to go.
Or, furniture that will give you crabs. It's perfect. That is libelous. I apologise to the owners of Rajani who are watching this. You said it doesn't feel like Doctor Who, or didn't at the time. How has that opinion sort of changed over time?
I think with the new series, it sort of fills in that gap quite nicely, because I guess the thing is we just weren't used to Doctor Who looking like this. I mean, to be honest, it still looks incredible today.
It is. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you could put it on the TV now and it wouldn't look out of place. So I think that's part of it. I guess the whole being set in America thing didn't really help either, because it's not really what we're used to with Doctor Who. And all the stuff in the hospital that we'll see later on, that just feels far too real for an episode of Doctor Who. Do you know what I mean?
That was when I was thinking about things to cover, and there are a lot of things to cover in this, like the half-human thing. One of the main things that came to mind was that very specific moment when the 7th Doctor dies. And if this wasn't canon, because it only really suddenly became canon when, in turn, I guess, when Big Finish became canon, but the Big Finish stuff kind of continued on from this, obviously. Yeah. But when this became canon, I often wonder if that never happened, if Big Finish would, go back and say, that is a really, really horrible way to kill off the 7th Doctor. What else could we do?
Yeah. It would be interesting to see an alternative take on it, because it is a bit naff, isn't it, really? The whole thing of him just getting shot is just a bit crap.
When you see it written down, it is crap. But I don't mind the sort of like the presentation of it so much. But obviously his death rattle is decidedly sort of like horrendous, and isn't really what we expect from Doctor Who. But then I guess this was trying to shrug off the creaky sets and I mean look at this. This is not Doctor Who.
Not at
Even
all.
now, this isn't really Doctor Who, is it?
No.
Even though this is Vancouver, and Wales would be subbed in for everything, but
CGI Golden Gate Bridge in the background. I think the other thing with the whole hospital thing, that was one of the first Doctor Who things that scared me as well.
Yeah,
because it was so real. Like that whole hospital thing, it just really freaked me out. I think I've said it before, but seeing him being operated on, that just really just made me very uncomfortable. In a very different way to, seeing like the Master's face in The Deadly Assassin, which scared me in a very different way. And I think that's, it scares you, but that's fake. Whereas this is like, oh my God, I could end up not getting shot, but I could end up being in a hospital and being operated on. Can
I just say that guy just then who did the high five with a roundhouse kick certainly earned his money. I wonder if he got paid extra for that. That's so random. Why on earth would you do that? Because it's not like Oh no, I've forgotten his name.
Chang Li.
Yeah, Chang Li. Thank you. It's not like he shows off any, crazy roundhouse kick skills.
No. Do you reckon the actor was just like, I can do this thing?
I'm not going to tell anybody, and we've got 5 minutes to go before they kick us off the location. They won't be able to do a retake. I'm going to get this in to put myself over. I love this scene with the TARDIS landing.
Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it?
It's so... Because it is just kind of... It is that atypical Doctor Who thing of, something completely bizarre and odd happening in a normal situation, taking somebody out of their everyday, and their everyday clearly fucking sucks, like with what's going on. Oh, and the blue light flashing as well. I completely forgot that lantern was blue.
Is it still going? Is it still flashing?
It was flashing after he landed, for sure.
No. I don't think it flashes all the time, though. I'm sure it stops.
Yes, it does stop, yeah. And there we are. Thank you for...
Lovely box.
Lovely box. Look at this.
Richard Hoodlin designed that.
Very Richard nice. Hoodlin, and I've never really noticed the kind of red and the green hues and stuff in the windows as well.
It's really nice.
I
don't know how they did that. If there's something inside,
or it's reflecting off of the neon signs on the other side of the alleyway.
Maybe.
I'd like to think not. It's not like those colours are particularly prevalent, really, inside the TARDIS.
No.
I know what you mean when you mentioned earlier
KY
about
jelly.
that sort of... What's that?
The Doctor's lube.
I know what you meant. That's why he's so sure. He's like, oh God, someone's seen it, finally. I know what you...
I must distract him from opening the
door. I know what you meant about that kind of separation between what we typically knew of Doctor Who in this, because my constant memory of seeing it and seeing clips from it was when it was featured in the Adventures in Time and Space, or Adventures in Space and Time documentary from Doctor Who Night, and like it just the way it looked, and it was just Grace looking at his X-ray saying 2 hearts, and I knew that it was Doctor Who they were talking about, but it didn't look like Doctor Who. And I know this sounds so pedestrian to say, but this is quite a neat reference,
Yeah. It's actually really funny you should say that, because when I did my big Doctor Who marathon a few years back, and I was watching Doctor Who at work over lunch, the guys in the office would see me watching Doctor Who and laugh at different bits and pieces. They saw me watching this, and they went, "Oh, what's this you're watching?" And I said, "It's Doctor Who." And they went, "This is Doctor Who?"
Yeah.
I said, "It's funny you should say that." I said, because that's what a lot of people at the time said.
I mean, I still think that now, like we've been saying. It's just crazy, and
it's just ER, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's Sylvester McCoy, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, it is definitely. It's playing to. This is one thing that you can say about this. it, for the want of trying, it is definitely playing to the right audiences, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's playing to the Americans who are intrigued by what's going on, and it's in more than Sylvester McCoy than I need to see. It's playing to the audiences that don't know about this. It's intriguing enough to hook them in. It's in a setting that is popular, especially at the time. Yeah. And Doctor Who fans are watching this on the edge of their seat, going, up to this point, besides the fact that the Seventh Doctor's been dispatched by a gang in an alleyway in San Francisco, it's kind of doing everything right at the moment, is it not?
I mean, the whole thing with seeing Sylvester in the TARDIS at the start, that's a bit of a problem, I think, for people who have never seen Doctor Who before. Because, I mean, for them, they're just going to be like, what the hell's this? I think they could have easily have done it in a way where Grace was the focal point and he gets brought in.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And then we see in a flashback that he got shot later on.
It's funny you say. I was literally just about to say, when you were saying that, exactly the same thing. In that, what if you just opened up with Chang Li in the alleyway, and then the TARDIS arrives, 7 steps out, gets shot, and dies. But then also you think, oh man, that's a really crap way to sort of have Sylv in it, because obviously from an actor's perspective, having done a lot of the looking into the history of the Dark Dimension that I've been doing, there was a big problem that a lot of the actors had with their lack of involvement in certain situations. There's a Chinook coming over at the moment because they're very keenly aware that I should not be watching this. And the pilot is not happy that the TV movie's on at the moment.
I can hear it.
Matt, you entertain our audience. I'm gonna close the window in case that happens again.
So this is another thing which is a bit ridiculous. She leaves the theatre in her beautiful ball gown and then goes immediately into theatre. What's that about? As if that's not allowed.
She looks good though.
She looks good for this ridiculous slow-mo shot.
It's great. It's so unnecessary, but it's kind of, that's, if that was our first shot of her, you'd be like, oh, so for Doctor Who fans, you go, this is our companion. Okay, cool. But yeah, look
at this. Why have they not put her? Why have they not said, you can't be doing a surgery in a bloody corset?
Matt, it's still 1996. There's still an element of for the dads in this. Yeah. Which is something I hadn't noticed, but now I am, 20 something years old. I do notice that more than when I was 5. Like I was saying, you have the trouble of having to balance the fact that you've got to have a new Doctor in this. You want to pay homage to what's come before. You want this to be a continuation. So you have to have the 7th Doctor in there. And for what's, unfolding and what's about to come, this is as much Sylv as we possibly could have got. And for it to feel normal in the context of the story. If he had just stepped out of the TARDIS, this random stranger, maybe we don't even see his face, but he's dressed like the 7th Doctor, gets gunned down, and then regenerates into Paul. What are your major kind of problems with the opening in the TARDIS with Sylv then? I just think that,
we understand it because we know Doctor Who. Of course, sure. I don't think an average American would have seen the police box and then gone, oh right, this big whatever it is inside that little cupboard that's floating through space. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think there was I think they could have approached it more in the way that Russell approached it when he brought Doctor Who back. Have Rose as the eyes and ears of the audience, and that she is slowly. This character just appears in her life,
Exactly.
And I think it could have been what should have happened here with her is that she should have been at the theatre, whatever. Oh, this bloke's been brought in, he's been shot, he dies, and then the body goes missing. And then, of course...
But that's the funny thing, though, is that, we look at this now, and we're Doctor Who fans, and we're older than we were when we first saw it. We should not... The target audience for this is not the age that we were when we first saw it. Yeah. Because the Doctor Who fans that they're making this for are of the age where, they're okay seeing a man, on an operating table, people being shot, it's, people being strangled. And it's not like that hadn't happened in Doctor Who before, but it's very, very different to the way that Russell approached it, which is, he's approaching it from the perspective of, we're making this for 5 to 12-year-olds and their parents.
I was going to say, this is not for kids, is it?
No,
any of this?
No, but maybe that's the key of it. That's why it doesn't feel like Doctor Who.
Yeah.
That it's Doctor Who being really adult, but Doctor Who has dealt with adult themes in the past and very recently, and will do in the future. But it's the execution of it that makes it feel decidedly more kind of adult, I guess.
Yeah. That they've tried to give all the surgeons slightly futuristic looking outfits, because obviously it's meant to be set in 1999 rather than 96. Very on trend what they're wearing now with everything going on in the world.
It is. They knew that this was going to... Oh, there it is.
That's awful, that.
I hate that moment.
That was cut on the UK VHS release. Good. I don't know if it was cut on the broadcast.
That is why when I got the original DVD, I sat down. I was in bed, I think, actually, because I had a DVD player in my room. I was laying down. I watched it, and my heart broke watching that. It's really sad.
It's awful.
And
I remember when I saw it, and I was like, I can't believe, did I just imagine that? And I remember winding it back and being like, bloody hell, what?
It's so depressing. It's not. I remember lying there thinking, in much the same way that you consider when somebody real has actually passed away in your life, and you think, they were so full of fun, they were so jovial, the Seventh Doctor was such a clown, and he had such wonderful adventures, and he was such a nice guy, and he died in this horrendous way.
Yeah.
It's unbecoming of, I guess, of what you typically expect from a regeneration. Usually it's a bit overplayed, and it's very obviously, sci-fi, I guess.
Yeah, he doesn't go out trying to save anybody or doing anything. It's
or getting poisoned by space radiation or whatever.
Yeah. And I've seen some people say, oh, well, it's quite ironic that, the master manipulator who was always had his eye on all the pieces and knew everything that was going on and was so many steps ahead, gets gunned down because he didn't check the scanner. Or,
but that bit, I like. Yeah. I don't like him screaming in pain on an operating table in a grotty San Francisco, operating theatre.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have maybe made more sense for him to get shot and regenerate in the alley or something.
Definitely. And then, then I guess, how do we get, Grace involved in all of this?
Maybe she's a doctor. She's running past. Here's the gunshots. Here's Sylvester McCoy saying,
then
help.
We cut all the operating... We cut all the opera stuff out, I should say, and she doesn't have to run around in this dress. And I don't want to be uncouth, but her cleavage is literally screaming at me right now. Just before it cut to that shot of the skyline, it was winking at me.
Yes. Something for the dads and for Billy.
So something for everyone. Everybody can appreciate that. I apologise. That's come across terribly.
So the takeaway from this commentary is
just Daphne Ashbrook's cleavage. Yeah.
But that's Eric Roberts' real wife.
Is it?
Yeah.
Poor woman. What do we think of Eric Roberts then? We're going to see more of his performance as we go on. He's.
I'll be honest. Yeah, I never liked him at the time, but I think we've had far more over-the-top performances since this.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the grand scheme of things, he's all right.
Yeah.
And actually, he's done some Big Finish stuff, and he's actually been not too bad on that.
I've not heard any of that yet, but I'm really looking forward to hearing it. He's perfect for this TV movie.
Yeah.
And with the reverence that Big Finish paid to characters, bloody hell, these two will probably get 19 box sets by the time we come around to the demise of Big Finish, if that ever happens. With the way that, they pay homage and they clearly care about every single character that they write about.
Yeah.
He will only be written well, and like with Eric Roberts, with his atypical performance that you'd expect from him, he can't not get it right, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to sound condescending to him because he's a very well-known actor. But he's bang on for this. What do we think of the snake?
I remember at the time thinking, what is going on? Why is the Master a snake? Like, what is happening here? Who thought that was a good idea? It's just very strange.
I don't think I ever connected the dots that it was actually a Master Snake. More that it was just like, the remnants of the Master was the goo, and this is something else that's happening,
Yeah. I mean, this freaked me out as well when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like, and
that still looks pretty good.
It does look good. For however long it's been.
Yeah. Oh, that's grim.
20 odd years.
Yeah. And he's not phoning it in, is he?
No.
He's doing his thing. And it's cool that we have, I guess, the Master as a Yank, just to throw a little bit of difference in there,
Yeah. Yeah, that's quite funny, isn't it? Because, we weren't used to like the Doctor and the Master having accents of any kind.
Definitely.
Then all of a sudden we've got an American Master. Now, obviously, we've had Doctors with, varying regional accents. So I wonder how long it will be before an American actor gets cast for the Doctor, if it ever happens.
It depends on the context, though, because this makes sense.
Yeah.
That's the hill I will die on, that the Doctor should always remain British, in much the same way that James Bond should always stay British.
Yeah.
Because it's part of the eccentricity of the show. It's part of the reason it sells, because the Doctor as a hero doesn't typically sound like an American hero from your random kind of cable drama,
Yeah. What do you think about all this gurning going on here?
It scared me, but I always thought that regeneration behind the kind of the crazy effects actually look like that.
Right. I like how Paul McGann clearly didn't want to do it.
Yeah, I know. He's just kind of pursing his lips and going, "Oh yeah, you want to see this? This is the money maker. I'm not going to make myself look like Sylve." This is the best scene in the movie.
Yeah, this is really clever. I love all this.
It's fantastic. This was the main part that kicked off or featured in the Doctor Who Night documentary, Do You Want to Live Forever? I think it was called.
Yeah, I remember.
And so when I watch this, I only think of that.
Yeah.
It's difficult to kind of, if you go on the Doctor Who YouTube channel and you want to look for Doctor regenerations, this comes up for the 8th Doctor or whatever. But I don't think of it as the 8th Doctor's regeneration. I just think of it as part of that really, really cool part of that documentary that was... It feels like more of a montage for that documentary for me than part of this drama.
Yeah, that's quite funny. I like it.
But, it doesn't detach from the fact that it's absolutely brilliant. And I mean, the super strength thing...
See, at the time I remember thinking, this is weird. Why is he got super strength? But then again, think about when Tom Baker regenerates.
Oh, that's a good point.
He chops that brick in half with his hand, so... Why not? I guess that's part of it.
I've never put that together. That's a
regeneration's super strength.
If I take anything away from this, it's that.
I mean, not sure he needed to look like Jesus Christ, but it's a good gag, I guess. There's a lot of religious imagery in this because he comes out in his shroud here, and it's like Jesus coming back from the dead. And then later on, he's got the crown of thorns on.
Well, I'm looking at the info text that apparently the script says he has risen from the dead and he's suffering from a wound in his side.
Oh.
Sachs claimed he didn't see the Christ motif until the Fox network pointed it out to him. Oh my God, they're really going against the grain doing this in the States with the Jesus Christ motif.
Yeah.
This whole bit with the crying babies and stuff in the background, this freaked me out, this whole sequence.
This is all really weird. Like, in a minute, when he was walking through that dilapidated ward and, like, all the windows are broken. Like this!
Where is this? Oh, apparently it's the old
hospital
limb room, apparently, according to the info text.
Right. It's very random. It's
and they also considered shooting this on the hospital roof, which would have made a lot more sense.
Right, that would have made more sense.
This almost is just kind of like, oh, fuck, we can't get the license to get on the roof. Paul, do you mind knocking that thing over and stepping over broken glass? And
very glamorous.
Imagine if this was on the roof. This would have had so much more poignance to it.
I tell you
know?
now, I heard John Pertwee never had to do anything like that, going around fucking barefoot, I tell you now.
No, he didn't, mate, but this is like day 2 on the job for you, so be careful. Oh, there are 7 reflections of him in one of those shots.
Oh.
Fans believe that to be a reference. But apparently it was just, it's a neat way for the Doctor to see his own face. Americans. You never see the symbolism and stuff like this apart from when it comes to religion. With his arms crossed.
Yeah. So, what do we think? We're going back to the Master, because he's just turned up. The Master that we see at the beginning, do we think that that's another incarnation again, or is that meant to be Anthony Ainley?
I always assumed it was just... I reckon that's Anthony Ainley. That is what happens to you when you go into that disintegrator on Gallifrey, when you tried and they say they put you in that thing. Or maybe that's the effect of the mind probe. That's maybe why the Castellan was so fucking terrified. I'm going to be turned into a snake. I just always assumed that was Anthony Ainley. Now it could be...
It could be, couldn't it?
It could be anybody.
Because he did record, the guy who played him, the actor's name escapes me, he actually did record the opening monologue.
Yes. Let me find his name. I'll find his name.
Why is Tom Baker's scarf in that cupboard?
Because whoever works at the hospital is a massive Doctor Who fan.
Yeah.
Actors who played the Master, let me find it. Actors who died in 2020. That's a depressing
nice sonic
thing.
Screwdriver.
That is a very nice Sonic.
You wouldn't notice then, but there's actually a button on that sonic screwdriver, a green button, and that's what activates. Button. Yeah, and that's what activates the spring-loaded feature.
Why have you been poring over photographs of accessories for stuff, Matt?
Oh well, when I was doing the accessories for the Big Chief Doctor Who figure, I had to look at all this kind of stuff.
Did you? Interesting.
I did.
Gordon Tipple.
I should have told them. Oh, Gordon Tipple. I should have told them to include that mask of Nixon.
Oh,
for a laugh.
That would have been... and the gun.
The gun.
Yeah, let's have a look at this list. It could have been anybody. Maybe let's say it's Alex McQueen. This is how Alex McQueen meets his end. Or maybe it's more fitting for somebody like James Dreyfus to turn into a massive snake.
Alex McQueen definitely comes later, because he's resurrected, isn't he? He's the first of the new resurrected Masters.
When does he first... Is it in the unit Dominion set that he first turns up?
Yes.
Yeah, I've always wanted to listen to that, but I'll tell you what I did listen to. Good, we're talking about everything but the TV movie.
We are. But nothing's happening at the moment.
Warzone Conversion by Big Finish.
Oh, yeah. What was that like?
I've only listened to Warzone by the lovely Chris Chapman. That's really good fun, and I'm about to get into Conversion. They've got a Roman soldier as a companion that Tegan clearly adores.
Right, interesting.
Even though we all know that she now enters into a relationship with Nyssa.
That's all right.
But that's it's all in there, so it's all it's good stuff. I'm just waiting for David Banks to turn up. He's hitting all the right notes as the Master so far. He's murdered somebody in cold blood.
Yeah. Killed his wife.
This is how you sell yourself as a villain.
I'll kill my real wife on screen.
maybe this was love, I don't want to serve you the divorce papers face to face, so we'll create an allegory for all of this. I'll strangle you on screen in this poxy TV drama from the UK they're trying to bring back.
Now, the fat guy who's just left?
Yeah. He's got a name,
I can't remember what his name is.
William Sasso, apparently.
He was in an Adam Sandler film that I watched not long ago. Is it the golfing one?
Happy Gilmore?
Adam Sandler, Happy Gilmore. I'm sure he was in that. And I was like, holy shit, I've never seen you in anything else.
Imagine being in this TV movie and then looking into the future and realising your career goes down even further by appearing in an Adam Sandler film. He oozes, sex, but he oozes Doctor Who, doesn't he?
Yeah, and it's a gorgeous costume. Gorgeous costume.
That's amazing.
Why do Time Lord's eyes, why are they so washed out and fisheye lens like?
I imagine or getting closer to the clock without actually moving. he's got Crichton's zoom function. Maybe they're like, I don't know. Certain insects apparently see stuff in slow motion.
Yeah.
So maybe it's like that kind of thing. He's a Time Lord. You know, he's got 2 hearts, 2 cocks. Let's just say cocks.
2 brains. Didn't they say that in the new series? They got 2 brain stems or something?
2 brain stems, and then somebody else has to butt in and say, have you got 2 of anything else? Although, is that Curse of Fatal Death?
No, Camille Kaduri says it, doesn't she, in Christmas Invasion? She says to Rose, she's like, oh, is there anything else he's got 2 of?
Isn't it funny that if anybody...
Jackie Tyler likes a bit of DP, right?
She wants to get the grocer involved as well.
Yeah.
Oh. Every hole's a goal.
Sorry.
I've gone very warm all of a sudden.
Me too.
It is very hot in Bristol today, and I've had to close the window because the Chinook's going over. Matt, you say some more smutty things while I open the window.
Oh dear, I don't know. That's a fire hazard, if ever I saw one, in a hospital.
Howard the Grocer, that's it.
Howard the Grocer, that's it.
And rumour is he likes a little bit of pegging as well.
Right, okay.
Or so I understand from the recent Target novelisations. Have you seen the audition tape for McGann the reading from the Leakley Bible?
Yeah, all that crap about Ulysses and...
Yeah, I think we might come back to that.
Come back to that
later. But
he's not having a good time of it, is he, Paul McGann? Barefoot?
No, he's not. I
begged them to give me a pair of shoes and they just wouldn't let me do it.
Although maybe
I said, can I at least have a pair of socks? And they said no.
His reaction later when those shoes fit perfectly is legitimate happiness that his feet don't hurt anymore.
They told me to go method as well, so I spent the whole shoot up until that point going without any shoes on.
And I stuck one of those cameras into my spleen as well.
Into my stomach, yeah.
Yeah. When you watch his audition tape, there is a moment, and Mr. TARDIS Reviews pointed this out in his recent video, where the 8th Doctor sort of appears out of nowhere.
Right.
Because he's performing it very, very kind of, he's talking as if he's, talking about taking out the... that's so gross.
It's horrible,
he's taking out the rubbish or whatever. And then somebody off camera says, no, more enthusiasm, Paul, more enthusiasm. And then he goes, I think I've found it. And suddenly he just comes to life. And it's like, oh, there's the 8th Doctor. God. This is all too real.
It's mad, isn't it?
That Range Rover should have a unit sticker down the side of it or something. This is just...
Oh, Terminator.
Oh, here he is.
So, originally, the idea was he was supposed to be decaying. We'll see now that he pulls his fingernail off. But he was meant to be... His face was supposed to be getting more and more manky as it went on.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
But Eric Roberts said that the prosthetics or the spirit gum or something... he was allergic to it.
What a load of rubbish.
So he wouldn't do it. So this is why we just have the contact lenses, which is a shame.
I would have had more respect for the guy if he'd said, this is the moneymaker, you're not covering this up, because he's the only known actor in this whole thing, really.
Yeah. Because can you imagine, as the film progresses, by the end of it, he's looking like Peter Pratt in Deadly Assassin.
Amazing. Because this bit doesn't make sense anymore in that case. It's just it's kind of like, I'm going to creep you out by pulling my nail off, and then the nurse behind this lady here goes, have you got scurvy? Do you need to be admitted somewhere or what?
It's really weird. They could have done some other things, like maybe he pulls a tooth out, or there's never a line where the doctor's like, oh, your body's falling apart, your or whatever, your mortal body's
your cock's just fallen out your trouser leg onto the TARDIS floor.
I got some KY jelly of yours that came through the loft.
You left it behind. She's got a nice gaff.
Beg your pardon?
Gaff. House.
Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah.
Kinel. Yeah,
I like that both her and the Doctor go to the same hairdressers.
They've both got perms. I mean, yeah, she's got a nice. She certainly doesn't work for the NHS. I'll tell you that.
No.
With a house like that. Oh, look at that telly. Yes. It is funny watching this. 'Cause I got the same. I'm getting the same feeling now as I got out of watching Trial of a Time Lord when we did our live show of it, and it is funny watching it and thinking, this is all the time we get with him. In the same way, when I watch Colin, it's like, oh man, I really enjoyed watching him on screen, and now he's going to disappear.
Yeah.
And it is interesting watching this, just thinking, man, I kind of don't want this film to end if it's just him being him, and you just think what could have been. And as much as his performances in Big Finish are fantastic, and so many of his audio dramas are great, it doesn't match up to watching him in action as the Doctor.
Yeah, and that's why it was so exciting when Stephen brought him back for Night of the Doctor, wasn't it? It was just incredible.
But that is not the same man that we see here.
No,
I love in his portrayal how he's very naive.
Yeah,
he's very childlike.
Yeah,
in his
very big bright eyes, isn't he? Everything is exciting.
Everything is wonderful and exciting and all that kind of stuff, and it's lovely. But you don't. He becomes so battle hardened by the time we see him again in Night of the Doctor.
Yeah,
that it doesn't feel like the same character. And so this is.
I don't know, really. Like, he's still quite. He's up for adventuring and and all that kind of stuff. As soon as he meets that girl, Cass or whatever her name is, all he wants to do, is take her in the TARDIS.
Yeah. When was this broadcast again? Was this like June 96?
No, it's May. It's the day it's today. The day that everybody is watching this. The day this video is going live is the anniversary.
That makes an awful lot of sense.
I love that. I love that with the TARDIS key.
Yeah,
it's got like the fake Yell lock, but it's got that inside. Very nice.
But that's
a gorgeous TARDIS.
So lovely. But that's the funny thing about watching this is that it's kind of it's weird watching it because I just saw on the screen that these scenes were filmed in February of that same year.
Yeah, it was quick turnaround.
What a turnaround to get this out!
Yeah,
it's amazing.
And the CGI is really, it holds up.
It does hold
Even
up.
Now,
I mean,
a lot of it.
I do feel like I am watching the X-Files, and not in a sort of kind of. I don't want to put this down or the X-Files down, but the production quality is extremely good.
Yeah. What about the console room? What do you think?
I mean, whenever you talk about TARDISes and interiors and exteriors, you do always have that kind of, what would I have over what I aesthetically like?
Yeah.
I would have and aesthetically adore the exterior. I aesthetically like the interior, but I wouldn't have it.
Okay.
Like, I don't know, I'd have the exterior and maybe the TARDIS from the time what Time Monster,
Yeah.
I mean, I know you adore it.
I love it. I mean, I love the console and the girders and stuff. Like the stuff going on around the outside, I'm not so keen on. I'd much sooner have proper roundels and.
But it's funny that because you do get the right motifs, around and about the place. Maybe does it make sense really with the Doctor being such a renegade that he would carry the seal of the Time Lords all over his TARDIS?
Yeah, that's true.
I guess it just maybe there's something that's happened in between that means that he is happy to carry that as like an emissary of the Time Lords or something.
Yeah. But,
it is a little bit...
It's a bit weird. And it's everywhere as well. It's not even just above the doors. It's on the pillars as well, elsewhere around the set. Because, I studied this set like a lunatic when I was doing my action figure adventures. and it crops up everywhere.
That was, incidentally, for anyone watching, that was the end of Act 2, apparently. That's where the second commercial break was.
Oh, okay. My shoes. I finally got to put a pair of shoes on.
My
Thank
shoes.
God for that.
They fit perfectly.
So, a little bit of insider stuff here. So, when Big Chief were making the figure, there weren't enough really good reference images of Paul McGann's shoes. So, one lunchtime at work, I went through screen grabs of this film, looking up any shots of the shoes, and then I put the contrast up on the picture so I could see the seams and stuff on the shoes. And then I drew the shoes in MS Paint and sent them that and said, "There you go. That's what the shoes look like." And that's what the toy is.
We both have girlfriends. They're slip-ons, aren't they?
They are, yeah.
That doesn't seem very Doctor Who-y to me.
What, slip-on shoes?
No, it seems a bit like the only person I know very well who wore slip-on shoes was my granddad when he reached his 80s.
Right.
So, I don't know, the slip-on shoes thing. You want to see the Doctor wearing something that's convenient to run in, really.
Well, they are. They've got good tread on them. They're more like boots, aren't they? Although they're a bit clumpy.
They're a bit clumpy, are they?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose that, they're not supposed to fit him like, no. Oh no, well they do fit perfectly, but yeah. It's not like he's had an opportunity to go through the TARDIS wardrobe and pick out some, brothel creepers to put on.
Yeah. Why did the TARDIS let the Master in? Or how did the Master get in? Does he have a key?
Because they looked at the state of him and thought, that's not the Master. Where's your goatee? Come on.
Yeah, he's the first Master that isn't a rotting corpse although he is a rotting corpse technically, that doesn't have a beard.
And it starts a very worrying trend.
It does.
Until we get to, literally just Sim in the Series 10 finale.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the only time we've had a goateed Master or a bearded Master. Apart from, does Dewan have a beard?
He's got heavy stubble.
He's got heavy stubble. That's not the same. I'm not happy with that.
No. He's got a goatee.
I'm gonna have a look and see what his, as the resident beard expert on the Review of Death, I'm gonna have a look at his beard action.
As the only member of the Review of Death that can grow a full beard.
No, you can grow a
moustache.
A pedo stash, yeah. I can't spell his name. I'm sorry, everybody. I can't find it at the moment. What do you think of his outfit, the leather gear?
Oh, well, why not?
Would you like him to have it? Would you like to see him wandering around in robes? The bats. What's the bats about, bro?
No, they're not bats, though, are they?
What are they?
They're Fladishrews, which are things that live in the TARDIS. This is all a retcon by Big Finish, I think, or the novels.
Where is this mentioned?
It's in the novels, and it's mentioned on Big Finish a lot in the Eighth Doctor stuff. Well, I say a lot, but it crops up now and again.
We're not talking about the big pterodactyl that flies around, are we?
No. That's Ramsey.
Ramsey, yeah.
No, these are things that just live in the TARDIS.
Right.
It's like, I guess it's like if you get mice in your house, you get these bat things in your TARDIS.
Bats in your belfries.
Bats in your belfries. This was something that really annoyed me and my brother at the time. It's like the whole Eye of Harmony business. We were like, what? If they not watched The Deadly Assassin? It's on Gallifrey. Maybe we were talking about the use of the Seal of Rassilon. Perhaps that is also meant to be Rassilon's head, by the way, on the top of that staff.
Okay.
According to the artwork. Yeah.
I like it. Okay, that's all right. Maybe with all the Seal of Rassilon stuff in there, that the Eye of Harmony is being kept safe by the Doctor. That's why everything's emblazoned with the Seal of Rassilon now.
Maybe. I mean, it's been retconned, hasn't it? That every TARDIS is fitted with a smaller Eye of Harmony next to the bigger one, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. I mean, do you prefer this Eye of Harmony or the collapsing star in Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS?
Oh, this one's much better.
I quite like the collapsing star.
Oh, do you reckon?
Because it just seems like for something that holds unimaginable power, oh, there's the smoochy smooch.
It's funny now, isn't it, that just is like, don't bat an eyelid at it. But at the time, I remember thinking, what's going on? Even at 4 years old.
I'm looking at the infotext, and apparently McGann said he kept his lips closed during the kiss because he didn't want it to look too sexy. That's great.
Apparently all the doctors were
I was going to just about to say that. Wouldn't that have been great?
Yeah, but they didn't do it because I don't know if it was something to do with licensing issues or just confusing the audience.
Copyright clearance, it says here.
Copyright clearance, there we go.
Because you would have been able to just use the photographs, I suppose, you know?
Yeah.
Don't need to worry about getting them all in their costume to stand on a revolving plate in front of a green screen.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
What? Chatting about? It's because he's got his sunglasses on. He can't. He couldn't look at his eyes properly.
Okay, so here are my 2 retcons for it that I'm going to present you with right now.
Right.
The first one is the smooch.
Yeah.
Maybe something's going on there in terms of the biology that it reads as half human because he's smooching Grace. Maybe.
Kind of in the same way that when the 10th Doctor kisses Martha, she reads as...
Exactly.
A bit of an alien.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. The other one, obviously, is that when he speaks to the guy at the event, Millennium event, where he steals the core, what's it called, the Deridium clock?
Yeah.
Obviously, just trying to spook him out for a laugh.
Yeah, it's just talking crap.
So those are the 2 explanations that we could possibly give, but then he himself then says it later, which is a big problem.
Does he? When does he say it again?
He says when he's chained up. I'm sure he says something about half human.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if he does. I think it's only those 2 occasions.
We'll have a look.
But then it gets sort of referred back to, doesn't it, in one of Capaldi's stories, in Hellbent, doesn't it?
Is there nothing that story gets right, doesn't fuck up in the end?
I mean, to be fair, he could be half human. We don't know what the Timeless Child is all about.
Yeah, I mean, oh my God. I was going to joke that, you know, it's not like anything mind-bendingly, you know, different would be introduced to the Doctor's canon out of nowhere, you know, like the Timeless Child, you know, as if to kind of say this is sort of just one of those things.
Yeah.
And I guess that it does sort of helpfully derail a lot of continuity problems.
Yeah.
With stuff like this. Yeah, I mean, for all we know, as you know, with however many regenerations the Doctor's possibly had, the whole Ulysses thing could still be canon. You know, if you wanted to include it in the canon, I don't think anybody would necessarily find any holes, given we don't know what happens in particular times in the Doctor's life.
Yeah.
Obviously, it would be heresy if they did do that because it's dreadful. Matt, tell us about the Leakley Bible.
Oh God, it's been a long time since I've read about it, but Ulysses was the Doctor's father. His mum came from Earth. The reason why the Doctor's got blue eyes is because his mum was an Earth woman, which apparently means you get blue eyes if you're a Time Lord. Bit random. I think the Master's his brother or half-brother.
The Master is his half-brother, yeah.
Yeah, and then I don't know if this was the Leakley Bible, but Barusa ends up inside the TARDIS console and they go off on adventures and the Doctor talks to the TARDIS, which has got Barusa's spirit living inside it.
I wish you could see my face at the moment.
It's just utterly, utterly awful.
I only know the fact that he has a bulldog called Winston, which is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, he does, doesn't he? Jesus Christ.
And the Cybermen are robotic Vikings called Cybes.
Yeah, the Cybes.
Which look dreadful. Yeah. Apparently in the background at the moment, the newsreader is talking about the shooting in Chinatown involving Chang Li.
Oh, really?
The channel here isn't a real channel, but this is a real newsreader from a Vancouver station.
Ah.
Very interesting. This is one of the earliest things to be shot, all this stuff here. That's very cool.
Wow. I love how she's got a lovely big house, but she's got a really tiny telly and such a...
But that's kind of it's the sort of she's married to the job thing.
I guess so, yeah.
She doesn't have time to have all this stuff here, you know. Oh, apparently she's also a newsreader, this woman, in X-Men Last Stand, Snakes on a Plane, and Watchmen.
Wow. I mean, I've seen all of those films, and at no point did I go, hang on a minute.
She's in the TV movie!
Yeah.
Apparently, yeah, so the infotext is saying both these actresses or actors are well known for playing newsreaders.
Right.
In TV. Imagine getting typecast in a movie as somebody on the telly. That's not very nice, is it?
I guess it's like the lady in Russell T Davies' Doctor Who, isn't it?
Mm. Oh, her.
The American
She's great.
newsreader.
Yeah, I love her. The beryllium clock thing is interesting. Oh, they lock eyes finally. They know. Yeah. They both know. Why play along? Just get rid of him now. The beryllium clock, the atomic clock thing is interesting because it's sort of the TV movie's only attempt to get any form of real science in it. But it's so untangible. It's not like it's based on anything that was actually happening at the time, given the millennium was still 4 years off.
Mm.
It doesn't feel like anything particularly urgent or interesting for the audience to invest themselves in.
I think it also misses the mark, this film, because there's no monsters in it.
Yes. I mean, what would we have done? Maybe Daleks invading San Francisco during the millennium? But then that would have been laughable because the Americans would have looked at it and gone, look at all these tin cans wandering around,
Yeah,
like
and the shit squeaky voices, like at the start of the film.
Yeah.
Why did they just not get some clips from the old series and just put that over the top? Why did
maybe the same reason they couldn't? It must have been a copyright thing.
It's so weird.
Same thing of not including the older Doctors in this. Do you reckon as a kid, if you'd seen, Colin and Peter and Tom and John and Patrick and William, if it would have felt more like Doctor Who once you saw that? If they'd included the Doctors in that little sequence?
Probably not.
Mm.
It's just so... parts of it just feel so far removed from Doctor Who. All that hospital stuff. I mean, even all this, I don't know.
What's wrong with having a fire extinguisher blasted in his face, really? Why is he reacting so badly to it?
And why is he eating tissue paper? Surely that's going to make things worse. It's going to clog his bowels right up.
Apparently, this man was the voice of the Daleks in the opening. I think I've just seen something about a second cameo. This is the man who voiced the Daleks at the start.
Wow. So it's all his fault.
Yeah.
Turn the gun on him.
Lace those jelly babies with rat poison.
Oh, it's not his fault. He didn't know what he was doing.
He didn't know what he was doing. I know.
They just said, do a robot voice. Okay. They're a bit squeaky.
Yeah. I also really, really, really like this scene. That this is a very Doctorish thing.
Yes.
That he sort of turns the gun on him, but he's not really holding it properly, and he knows he's not going to use it. Apparently, there was an alternative cut of this scene where the entire crowd turns around to the police officer and shouts, "Give him the keys."
It's on the DVD.
Is it terrible. On the DVD?
Yeah, it's naff.
That's like something out of the Holy Grail. That's just...
Yeah, it's just really weird. It's like, why is this happening?
Wow, what a fever trip Jeffrey Sachs must have been on to have included that. That's really strange. Terminator 2, apparently.
When he dropped the gun, he should have shot him.
Yeah. Well, but Matt, this is supposed to be San Francisco, and it's only a white guy that's nicked his bike. Why would he open fire on him?
Oh yeah, true.
Idiots.
What do you think of the score?
Oh, it's awesome.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It's awesome.
Brilliant.
And every Christmas, whenever I watch Elf,
yeah,
I go, it's the same guy. Everybody is the same guy.
He's done so much stuff. Like, it's got to the point now where I've heard this score so much because I think it's brilliant. When I watch a film and it's John Debney doing the score,
I can do that as well.
I can tell.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this sounds like John Debney, and then it'll get to the credits. Yeah,
it was him. Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's great as well without having to rely on having to hear the Doctor Who theme, because we think like now how lovely it would be every now and again just to get a do in the soundtrack.
Yeah.
And this doesn't rely on it, and it's because I mean, we don't have hours and hours and hours of soundtrack for each story to pour over on the soundtracks. But it absolutely hits all of the right notes. It's got that the harpsichord stuff to hark back to the ancient sort of English vibe of it.
Yeah, I like that.
It's got the proper orchestration to really give it enough power. It's nice almost that it doesn't have a lot of synthy electronic stuff in it.
Yeah, it's very different, isn't it, to anything that had gone before, really.
Definitely, and it's definitely trying to go for the high profile, high budget sort of X-Files thing. It works really well, and the main theme tune is sort of like top 3 Doctor Who themes ever for me.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's beautiful. I mean, it's only really rivaled by Delia and God, what's it rivaled by? I mean, if we include Delia from Doctors 1 to 4 as one, really, I mean, it's probably only rivaled by either Murray or Sega Nakanola's theme.
Wow, really?
Yeah, because
but
the only reason that sounds weird is because everybody sticks Peter Howell in there, and I've never liked that theme.
Wow. Oh, I love Peter Howell's theme.
Yeah.
I don't mind this theme. It's a bit, I don't know, a bit too bombastic for my liking. But I do like the little piano bits.
I love the piano riff. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's really nice. Is this where, again, it suddenly stops feeling like Doctor Who?
Yeah, I guess. It's I don't know, it's just...
It's because really he's probably still, post-regenerative trauma.
Yeah, he's still not the Doctor, is he, really, in his own head?
Yeah,
so
and
not
I don't know if I'd be able to take a full season of him just being like this, because he is really being led around by Grace. It's just that every now and again he'll go, oh yeah, of course, yeah, you've got to do this.
Yeah.
Which isn't a problem, but when you're trying to sell your main protagonist as a hero who can lead a new TV series, he just sort of doesn't really. I don't know. It doesn't.
He's just sort of ambling about, isn't he? Really?
Yeah, he's not really given the opportunity to really thrust himself into situations because he's being babied around, by someone, and I don't think Daphne Ashbrook gets enough credit for the job she does in this, because she effectively carries the film, for the TV movie, for a large part of it.
And she's really good.
She's excellent.
I would have happily have seen her carry on as companion. Absolutely.
She's completely invested in it. I can see those two getting on really, really well after the fact.
Yeah.
I can see how her cynicism might be tempered by him.
Yeah.
And they could have a really interesting sort of like friendship with each other. I mean, the fact that she clearly fancies the pants off of him is something you can kind of deal with later.
Yeah, of course.
And again, there we have it sold again that he's half human. Yeah. Did we come to a conclusion about how this could be the case?
And how he could be half human?
Yeah, or how we can just explain it away.
Oh, I don't know. It's too late in the week for me to be thinking about stuff like that.
It is, spoiler alert, it's Thursday the 21st of May for everybody who's wondering.
What I want to know is, why does a piece of Earth technology fix the TARDIS console?
What if it was Mercury? It would make more sense if it was Mercury.
True, yeah.
Because Americans read time travel, they think of clocks, they think of a really, really big clock. Maybe that could power a time machine.
Oh, what the hell is an atomic clock anyway? I mean, what does that even mean?
It's actually a real thing.
Really?
I'm going to find out now. Apparently, it's about sending impulses of energy to keep the time.
Right.
So if I type in atomic clock... An atomic clock is a clock device that uses a hyperfine transition frequency in the microwave or electron transition frequency in the optical or ultraviolet region of an electromagnetic spectrum of atoms. That's confused it even more. Can you just tell me what it does? It's based on atom physics. Basically, Matt, yeah, it's a real thing.
Right.
It depends.
I mean, with your little explanation there, I can understand why they didn't go into what that was all about.
I know. I mean, atomic clock is maybe too much of a mouthful for most Yanks to understand. Clock being the main thing that they might struggle with. So the Masters jizzed over all these boys. Matt's been just as smutty as me, everybody. Let's not try and pin this on any one individual.
Oh dear. I love all this, and like you said, I love this like harpsichord little riff. That's like his theme, isn't it? It
makes sense because he looks like an Edwardian gent.
He does.
To an unknowing audience, he's British, and the soundtrack sounds like an old British bloke soundtrack. Yeah. This is all nice. I'm sure somewhere I've got a T-shirt from. Do you remember that company that did T-shirts around the 50th anniversary?
Dark Bunny Tees.
Dark Bunny Tees. So I've got the one of John throwing a sea devil over his shoulder.
Nice.
You've got the Yeti one.
Yes.
I've got an I.M. Foreman one.
Nice.
And I'm sure I've got an Institute for Technological Advancement by Research.
They should have done. They should have had the billboard that's behind the TARDIS. With the Buckingham Palace and the.
Oh, that's a good. That
would have been more.
If anybody's interested in very niche Doctor Who references on their T-shirts, go and check out Clayton Hickman's Redbubble. Yeah. I don't know if you've seen it. My new phone case is the mosaic floor from Death to the Daleks.
I did see that. Yeah. Don't move.
It was Stop, Don't Move. And before that, I had the International Electromatics one.
I remember that.
Which is very, very pretty. So, shout out to Clayton. Now, did you know I had a police box in my room for a couple of years that was made out of a fridge box?
Yeah. Did it have a cubby hole above the P?
I used to hang my pewter TARDIS key behind the P.
Very nice. I like it.
This is a good gag. This is great. And it's, to an unassuming audience, it sells the dimensions of the TARDIS so well.
Yeah.
That gag of the dimensions of the TARDIS has not been done as well as this.
No.
We've
although it doesn't really make an awful lot of sense, because you can see here that if he'd have gone through those doors, he'd have gone straight down those steps and crashed straight into one of those pillars.
I reckon he went straight down the steps, right round the TARDIS, back up the steps, and then straight back out again.
Yeah, it must have been it.
It would have been nice to sell it with some skid marks on the floor.
Yeah.
Maybe left by Sylve because he forgot to wipe or something. There's lots of stuff on the info text. It's really, really interesting that she obviously got a bit of a doing in by the Master when he vomited stuff all over her. And much in the same way as, his master was supposed to be decaying, apparently by this point she's supposed to have a masterish rash developing over her body that she's hiding from the Doctor.
It's
whether or not...
bukkake-ing.
I was going to say, whether or not we want to call it gonorrhea, I don't know. But yeah,
Grace, come here. Let me take a look at that. Yes, I've seen it. It's a very common form of Time Lord STI.
It is. You've been around a bit, haven't you? Have you had Barusa? He's very easy. Believe me, I know.
Chancellor Flavia gave it to me once back at the academy. Very nasty.
That's
It almost triggered a regeneration, I'm telling you.
That's an Operation U-Tree moment right there. Because I suppose the problem is that her sort of turn comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
These shots are beautiful.
It's really good, isn't it? It's lovely.
Really clever. Yeah, her turn sort of comes out of nowhere. So this whole thing where she eventually clatters him over the head with that lance or that wrench or whatever it is. Just sort of
magnetic clamp.
Magnetic clamp. Oh, that's an Earthshot reference.
It is, yeah.
The TARDIS toolkit is based on the designs from the 1983 Doctor Who technical manual.
That's right.
Which I had as a PDF that my dad printed off for me.
Ooh.
So I had that if this had happened earlier and eventually it's taking over her, Time Lord Gonorrhea, and she twats him round the head. Or, green eyes, just to make it more obvious.
Yeah.
Because
it's creepy, that, though.
Oh, it is creepy. It's definitely creepy. But the link that she is in league with him because she's been directly taken over by him would have been more obvious. That was quite a nice shot, actually. Do you see in the reflection the clamps that he's held up by?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, in the reflection of the mirror, you can see the clamps that he's hoisted up by.
I was just about to say, I'll rewind it, and then I was like, oh no, I can't do that.
Don't do that, because we'll have to start from the beginning. What do you think maybe of Chang Li joining the TARDIS? I think he would have been an interesting sort of ace allegory,
I think he would have been good. He would have been good to, get into scrapes and stuff. And, He's getting into trouble.
He's hot-headed. It's difficult for the Doctor to rein him in.
Yeah,
and
it would have been nice. It would have been a nice relationship because obviously he comes from he obviously doesn't have much in the way of his family and stuff. He's with all these gangs and things. So it would have been nice for him to see a different side of the world and the universe.
Exactly.
The Doctor.
It is sort of a more extreme version of Ace's story, really, isn't it? It's kind of like a weird hybrid between Ace and Leela.
Yes.
That you can have that sort of My Fair Lady, Pygmalion sort of thing, but also he's headstrong enough to not fall for that bullshit. In the same way, in much the same way that Leela, she's very, very clever, but on a surface level, she's following the orders of an elder, that sort of way. And she, she does fall in love, she does stop being as rash and, saying the Doctor told me not to do these things. And with Ace, she's got more intelligence in that way. So it would have been a really interesting dynamic to have Chang Li on board the TARDIS. That's the Thorn of Crowns reference there for you.
Yeah.
Bit more Jesus imagery. It looks really painful.
It does look really horrible.
It's like a way.
Why has the Doctor got that in his TARDIS?
He's into BDSM, clearly.
I had it left over from my 6th incarnation. He was really into that sort of thing.
Yeah, he was very nasty in the bedroom.
Old 60. That's why I choked Perry that time. Yeah.
Oh my god! Now, of all the Doctors to be into that, I reckon 5. He's the he's hiding in the. God, that looks really comfortable. Uncomfortable. That's my BDSM side coming out.
I'd love to wear that.
Where do I get one of those? The soundtrack that's going to start in a bit.
Yeah.
Which has the dun 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 bit, where he's saying stop, he's screaming stop.
Yeah.
I used to listen to that constantly on the way into school. I don't know why, but that is like one of the best, most triumphant sort of tracks.
It's very good.
Is it in the 50th? And is it part of like a?
It's on the CD. I think it's on the soundtrack CD.
Oh god, I'm so happy that that got included. It's fantastic.
God, Sealer Rassilon again. He's got it on his bloody back. He's got it on the chains around his neck.
It's a great outfit, though.
It is good. It is good.
That needs to be an action figure because really, all you need to do is have that sort of generic Time Lord action figure, take the head thing off, fashion a little collar, and then I guess pay for the license for Eric Roberts' face, which I'm sure won't be any more expensive than getting Paul McGann as an action figure. I know that you and we've been having fun, we've been talking about this. Does it feel like an hour and 10 minutes has already passed?
No, it doesn't. I'm shocked. I can't believe we're nearly at the end.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
It's bombed along.
Yeah.
I mean, we have been taking the mickey out of it for the whole time.
I know, but when I so that's so mean. But you look at it and you think, really? Okay. Imagine if the BBC had maybe more of a say. Maybe Terrance Dicks was like a consultant on it.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, wouldn't that have been good?
This wouldn't have been that much worse. You know, like it's pretty good as it is.
Yeah.
And you can forgive an awful lot of it because of the situation it was made under and for the audience that it was intended for. And, you know, you can look at it and when you listen to Storm Warning, because of how effective this is at setting up Paul and, you know, setting up the start of some new adventures that obviously never came in the way that it was supposed to, it works really, really well.
I think that's the thing, is with the benefit of hindsight, this film works better. I think when it came out as its own sort of standalone thing, it just didn't really work. But now that, like you said, we've got Big Finish, we've got the new series, you know, we're aware of the situation of how it got made and why it got made.
Yeah.
It works better. It's still not great, but, you know, I think there's a lot of things in here that we can appreciate, you know, even if it's just down to aesthetics and production choices as opposed to maybe the writing. But yeah, I think there's a lot of good to come out of this film. I mean, think about the TARDIS, the console, you know, that has now become so iconic.
Yeah,
that version,
the big column, yeah.
Yeah, you know, no TARDIS since has gone back to the short stubby column.
Even if in that little flash there or in these sequences, if you just seen Bill and Pat and John and Tom,
or some old masters.
Exactly, yeah, anything.
Just to confuse the American audience even more.
Who are these old blokes?
I mean, this is all great.
It is. It's fantastic. It's the most epic that the Doctor's first story has ever been. You know, like you can have if you look at later stories that are like strong stories.
Yeah.
Where the Doctor's just regenerated. You know, the Atraxi and the 11th Hour is great, undoubtedly, but the Atraxi against something of this scale, you know, is completely different. And the way that this whole sequence is done, you really do feel like, oh my God, this really could be it. You know, like you could start a whole series with the Eighth Doctor trying to put the pieces back together of all of this.
Yeah.
Are there any pictures of Paul in that costume? Because obviously he would have had to have worn that costume for those shots of the Master turning into him.
I think there is, actually. I'm sure I've seen pictures of him in the Master's outfit.
They might want that for Time Lord Victorious. You never know.
Yeah.
That's a callback, apparently, to the Frankenstein bit from earlier on.
Yeah, I was literally just about to say to you, I like that they call back to Frankenstein again. I don't understand how Grace knows how to work rewire a TARDIS.
If there'd been something about earlier, if you had like a bit about her boosting cars when she was a kid.
Yeah, or something.
You know, that could have made sense. I like the fact that the console's still a little bit ropey.
Yeah.
That dial.
But didn't Sylv say that on the first day that he touched something and he put his hand through it?
But that's how it should be.
Yeah, and that's what he thought. I'm sure he said that. He was like, some things never change.
Oh, that's lovely. Stonehenge. So it's mainly affecting the UK, given that Stonehenge and the Houses of Parliament have disappeared.
Most Doctor Who, it always only affects the UK. The time vortex is nice as well.
Yeah, it is. It's
really good.
That's always how I've imagined it. That it's sort of the vortex is sort of punched out of space.
Yeah.
You know that it's a separate entity, but that you have to go into space to then go in through the time vortex. Looks great.
I mean, I don't know what's going on with the Master now. He's having a stroke or something.
Yeah.
Or his voice finally broke.
So this is interesting. So he's not staring into the light anymore, considering that she's directly in his way.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he just killed her by turning towards him.
It's good as well. That pillar shook.
The what?
The pillar shook.
Pillar shook. Ah, get in. It is still Doctor Who.
Okay. Oh. The greatest bromance in history. You are my life.
I'm a bit... I mean, for a film like this, I'm almost disappointed that it ends in like a fist fight, But I suppose it... I don't mean to put Americans down anymore, but there's the tread you were talking about. They're like orthopedic shoes for like an 80-year-old. It makes more sense really for this to end with a big fight than anything else. But it's not like he's been it's not like he's been gifted with a particular set of karate skills or anything.
No, he just sort of fumbles his way through, doesn't he? Like a lot of the Doctors do in that situation. And
I wonder him offering the Master's hand for an audience that doesn't know the Doctor is ultimately a pacifist at heart.
Yeah.
If that makes an awful lot of sense, Yeah,
there could have been a moment where Grace took the gun or something.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know, and he said, I don't use guns. Because none of that comes out, does it, in this story? Like, there's nothing... It doesn't. Nothing really sets up his morals,
For an American audience, he's a weak action hero.
Yeah.
Because when... It almost would have made sense in the earlier scene with the gun and the police officer.
Yes.
If he'd said something then, like, I don't like guns, or something.
Yeah.
And he handed it to Grace and she did the do.
Yeah.
Is that CG or is that a model, that TARDIS?
That is a model.
I wonder what happened to that model, because it's... I mean, I guess lovely. That's motion... what's the word? What's the correct word? They shot Red Dwarf with that kind of camera motion.
Oh yeah, motion camera. Sort of thing.
Yeah, that kind of thing. I wonder if that's what that is, because it's so beautifully shot.
Yeah. Yeah, because I always assumed it was CGI, but no, it's a physical model. Wow. I don't know. Philip Siegel might have kept it.
I've seen the model because I was thinking the other day, because I was looking at photos of it. I've seen the model. And I thought it was that same one, but it's the one from the opening of the trial section in Trial of a Time Lord, because that was at the Doctor Who 50th anniversary event.
Was it really? I didn't see it.
Along with that and Ace's new tape deck from Silver Nemesis.
I didn't see any of that when we went there, because it was just so packed and we had so much to try and get around and do.
Yeah.
We didn't really get to see it all.
Oh, bugger. Never mind. Yeah, then that was cool. I think I took some photos of it, though.
So, I still don't really understand why they come back to life.
I mean...
But the TARDIS is like, go on then.
Go on then.
Really
I can tell that this is going to get picked up by Fox for a TV series. yeah, I guess it's the TARDIS that does it. Philip Segal, interestingly, in the electronic press kit for this, says that it's an action film and a love story as the main kind of driving hooks of the whole thing.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't get love story from it. I get there's a horny moment early on.
Yeah, there's horny moments throughout. We've had bukkake, we've had
exactly
BDSM,
all the jizz. That looks like a great TARDIS team.
It does, doesn't it? It does look lovely.
They look fab. And
the lighting and stuff, it just that I would have happily tuned in to watch more of these three.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm sure we would have had as many things to complain about it, you know.
Oh, totally.
You know, as we
lambasted it.
Are doing it now, but you know, the way that we're looking upon this, you know, it's very, very sweet.
Yeah.
You know, it's great. 5.5 million apparently the audience for this in the States, right. But it was up against some pretty tricky competition. An episode of the hit sitcom Roseanne.
Oh, we don't talk about her anymore.
No, we don't, because she's a racist. And the audience for the UK was 9.08 million viewers.
Amazing, isn't it?
So it just goes to show
there was an appetite for it.
Bring it back in the UK, you know?
Yeah. I don't understand why they didn't see that. Just the BBC, all right, they could have said, okay, the Americans aren't interested, fine, but clearly there is an appetite for this series over here. What are we doing?
But maybe there was something contractual that sort of said, if you go ahead with anything directly off the back of this, it has to be to do with Fox. And
it might have been, yeah.
But maybe, you know, having said that at the same time, you know, Fox going, okay, we'll hold our hands up. We're not really into it, but you know, you can go ahead and do whatever you want to do. It's no skin off their nose because they're not getting the benefit of it. That, you know, it got 5 million viewers in the US. That's a very, very low number. Even like now for like major TV shows like The Walking Dead, comparatively, it's still very low. So what have they got to lose by just turning around and saying, you can have it. It worked for you. Yeah. Here you go. It's less of an embarrassment for them to carry on making it and still get bad viewing figures. And I'd never noticed until now, it's pissing down with rain.
Yeah.
I'd never noticed that before.
I think it was a problem for Paul McGann's wig.
I'm not so... Like it's starting to look a little bit ropey, yeah.
Yeah, like all the curls gone. Their hair is like looking so ridiculously similar.
Maybe that's why they fancy each other so much.
Maybe when Sylvester McCoy was dying, he saw her and he was like, "Oh yes, I love the hair on that woman. When I regenerate, I'm going to come back and I'll have that."
I want a perm. This is such a lame exit for him.
Yeah.
I have absolutely no, you know, there is no way he didn't immediately go back to pickpocketing old women.
Yeah.
And shivving guys in high streets. There's no way that he's actually learned anything from this.
Don't trust men with serpent eyes?
Yeah. I mean, it's not like he's going to meet any of those again, but...
No. Don't trust men who bukkake over other men.
Maybe he was running away from the truth that he actually was really into it.
Yeah.
But he just didn't want to accept
he learned something about himself that he didn't know.
Something was unlocked in him deep down.
Snogging?
I mean,
what are you doing?
That's alright. You can do that then. You don't need the snog earlier.
It still doesn't really make sense though, does it? Why? Why are you kissing her?
He's working out if this incarnation is gay. He goes back to the TARDIS and goes, "Nah, I'm not into that.
Not for me.
No, not for me." Where's Adric?
No one will ever compare to Susan's grandmother.
Oi. I thought you were going to say Susan then. That took on a very different meaning. Oh. The ending of the movie apparently went through several different versions during post-production.
Oh, really?
I can't speak. Sorry. I've been watching the TV movie for almost an hour and a half and I can't speak English. I mean, I can't really imagine how this
Yeah,
would be
how
any
different could it
different.
have been?
Apparently, it was going to end with a quote from The Time Machine, or War of the Worlds, some H.G. Wells novel.
Right.
And this final version was decided upon in April 1996.
Gosh. So the month before.
Yeah. And obviously John Pertwee very sadly passed away a week before this came out. I've not seen the version of this with his caption added at the end. But yeah, they paid tribute to
Is
him.
it not on the DVD now?
It might be.
I don't know what you're watching.
I'm watching the Revisitations DVD.
Snap.
Okay.
I'm sure it comes up at the end.
All right, we'll have a look. We'll see, because I've never seen it before.
Gordon Tipple, the old master.
Tipple, the old master. There we are. And that font, which to me is synonymous with Batman March and nothing else.
Yes. Which was then used by Big Finish, wasn't it? They used it on all the Eighth Doctor stuff for a long time.
I thought they used something else. Oh no, maybe it's because it's in a different colour that I'm thinking it's... Oh, look at that logo.
Yeah.
Oh, get in. Oh, not that one. Universal. Oh no, it doesn't pop up at the end.
Oh, I could have sworn it did. Maybe it's just an Easter egg on the DVD.
What a depressing Easter egg.
Yeah.
There we go. Anyway, Matthew, what did you think of Doctor Who, the TV movie?
It was great fun to watch with you because we had a good laugh.
I love you, mate.
I think I enjoyed it more watching it with you than I had if I'd have just watched it on my own.
Oh, well, if that's the only review we get out of it, and I obviously heartily agree watching it with you, then I think that's a positive for this watch along. It's good fun. It's a bit of a mess, but sort of in a way when you look back at it and you think, oh, thank God that wasn't the last of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
You can sort of look back at it and enjoy it more because you can breathe a sigh of relief knowing that it was in safer hands after the fact. And that Paul got a chance to shine. Everybody came out of it looking better once the show had actually returned. It's got a more positive reflection on it now than it did, obviously, when it came out.
Totally. And I think the thing is, for a long time, you mentioned this earlier, a lot of people, including myself, didn't really think of it as being canon, But I think now, again, with the benefit of hindsight, the new series, it makes you go back and kind of appreciate it in a way that we didn't really at the time.
Exactly. You can appreciate it for the elements of it that aren't responsible for bringing it back to TV. You can appreciate the soundtrack. You can appreciate Paul's performance. You can appreciate the production values more. And... barring the innovations that continue as we go through Doctor Who's history, with Series 12 being the best that Doctor Who's ever looked, and then prior to that, Series 11 being the best that Doctor Who's ever looked.
Yeah.
This is, in terms of a filmic standpoint, the best that Doctor Who has looked. And the production design is fantastic. It had everything that it needed to bring Doctor Who back. The only thing that lets it down really is the story. And, I wouldn't ever want to blame any individual for that because that was what they wanted to do at the time. But having said that, thank God that it was Russell who piloted the ship back into port and we got back to where the show should be. And obviously we pay respect and we pay homage to the people who are involved in this. But ultimately it wasn't exactly what was required at the time for the show to be a massive success on television again.
No, not at all. But yeah, it was good fun to watch it.
Very, very good fun.
I hadn't watched it in a long time. I can't remember the last time I watched it.
Same, yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a good fun, and I hope if people at home enjoyed this, then maybe we can do some better Doctor Who stories.
Paradise Towers next. Get in.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Christ, I don't know if I could survive it.
Not
with everything else going on in the world.
I know, but you watching Paradise Towers now can't be much worse than what's happening outside your front door.
Oh, I don't know. I might just go into the nearest hospital and lick anyone with COVID, so I don't have the option.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Paradise Towers is worse than coronavirus. And maybe we can answer that question properly if we come round to doing it. Bombard Matthew with tweets that we should do this, because I think it would be fun. And massive thank you to Ellie, of course, for allowing us to do this. So, bish bash bosh. And I think we can call that job done.
We can indeed. Right, well, thank you for listening, everybody. And hopefully we'll be back for another one soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.